All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Grizzly's Cave. This is Grizzly Andrew, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. This is actually going to be his second appearance on Grizzly's Cave. But before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind the fans of the next NAW wrestling event. It will be Saturday, July 12th at the Community Center in Nebo, Kentucky. It's going to be Rage in the Cage, and we're going to have a special War Games match for that event. So definitely please come out if you can make it. Ticket prices are as follows: if ages 0 to 5, you get in free. Ages 6 to 12 will be $5, and anybody 13 and older, it is $8. Concessions are available. This is a family friendly promotion, and folks, I promise you will not be disappointed if you come to this show. It is a great time. It's a great promotion, and we would all be honored if you all could make it. I also want to plug the GoFundMe account that y'all have heard me plug on previous episodes. It is Help Ben Build a Future for Indie Wrestling Stars, and the link is gofund.me/9B as in boy, 2, F as in Frank, C as in Charles, 903. All right, folks, without further ado, I would like to welcome back to Grizzly's Cave. And again, it is an honor and a privilege to have him on here. None other than I've referred to him as the Big Outlaw Cowboy Coy Daniels. Mr. Daniels, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, or as my father used to say, fair to Midland.
I hear that. Hear that applause, man. It's the biggest pop I've ever got.
I don't know, man. I was in attendance at that last show, and man, they popped pretty big for you, man. So,
Just because I was with JC.
no, man, no, man. Them fans love you. So, uh,
I love it, man. I had a good time down there.
oh yeah. Um, well, let me ask you this. So it was kind of a shocker at the last show, finding out that the big man with the Nightmares of Naw, finding out that that was your nephew. It was kind of a shocker for myself and everybody involved that was in attendance. Um,
Yeah, it's a shocker that Snake has got him on his side. Um, that is my nephew. I think he's making bad decisions, though.
Slugger Jackson, he kind of strikes me as like a cult leader in some aspects. I mean, he brainwashed your nephew, and he's got those three other guys, Alexander Cage, Dee Jinx, and Nick Willis and Aria. I mean, I don't know what kind of hold this guy has, unless his back pockets are just really loaded with a lot of money.
Well,
But I gotta
I
say,
hope he has a lot of money because he's going to need it come July 12th.
I believe I can safely say for the fans, we all hope that you all get your hands on him finally and just annihilate him. I mean, he's obviously nothing but a coward. He shoots his mouth off, and yeah, definitely hope you get your hands on him and beat the crap out of him. So,
Well, one of the stipulations are if we do win, and I really plan on winning. Uh, JC gets him for 5 minutes in a cage, so
oh man.
there's a lot of ass whooping in 5 minutes for that guy.
And that prick. Wow, let's see. He started with Naw, if I'm not mistaken. He started commentating. I think it was August of last year, and that's when, I mean, from day one, he's done nothing but shoot his mouth off about JC, called him a flash in the pan and over the hill, and he's also ran his mouth about other wrestlers for the promotion and stuff. But God Almighty,
Uh,
that's
our paths have never directly crossed. He might be smarter than I'm giving him credit for, if that's the reason. But I'm sure in due time, me and him will have a conversation.
Uh, would it be safe to say it would be his day of reckoning?
I mean, if he don't run, he don't he don't strike me as a standing on business type of guy.
I would have to agree with you on that. I would have
He
to.
speaks loudly and carries a little stick.
Ain't that the same stick that he busted himself open with?
Uh, yeah. I wasn't at that show, but I seen the highlight reel. Um, he might need some batting practice.
I would say so.
Reminds me of that one. I don't know what they call them now, memes or vines or whatever. Where the little kid throws a ball up, he swings, misses the ball, and hits himself in the back of the head.
Yeah. Slugger Jackson, if you happen to listen to this, yeah, definitely need to make a meme. You definitely need to make a meme after what happened to you back in March. I swear. Oh man.
And he's not making a meme about that jacket he wears.
Yeah, for his sake, I hope he kept the receipt, man, because what the hell?
If he gets involved in that cage match, I think I'm gonna wear that jacket. That's gonna be my new ring attire. Of course, I'm gonna have to cut the sleeves out of it though, so
Well, I
got to
mean,
make it my own.
I understand that, and yeah, you'd have to, because heck, I mean, his arms are nowhere near the size of yours. I mean, he compared to you, he's pretty scrawny looking. So I know
I mean,
you're.
there's a lot of guys that know that are the same way.
Oh, geez. I know your buddy that goes to the ring with you. I know he got his hands on Slugger Jackson a time or two in the past.
Yeah, he he's itching to get his hands back on him. Matter of fact,
Yeah, at that last show, he was chasing Slugger and the Nightmares around, and Slugger didn't have his bat with him, and he couldn't find his bat. And your buddy was smiling about it.
the thing is, my buddy carries my bat,
Yeah,
and he always knows where it's at.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what Slugger was thinking, but he should have just put that. He should have held on to that bat for dear life. So, because that's the only thing that protects him for the most part, and his cronies. Um,
You were talking about my nephew.
yes, sir.
Um, it's kind of bittersweet if you think about it. I mean, I think about it, watching him wrestle and getting to share the ring with him. I wish he was not on the side he's chosen to be on. I really tried this last show. I didn't want to put my hands on him. He's been for months. He's been taking liberties and cheap shots and stuff, and he won't answer my calls or texts or nothing like that. I'm trying to begging him not to do it this way. But like I said, Slugger's got in his head, and everything came to a boil last week, and had to put my hands on him. But I tell you, he's a strong, big individual.
Yeah,
He's got a right hand on him.
yeah, yeah. That I mean, it was like just watching two big bulls, charge at each other when you two got in the ring. And
But he made me mad because I had a really good piece of chewing gum in my mouth,
mhm.
and I didn't know this. I turned around and I was trying to be real nice. I don't want to fight you. Blah blah blah. And he slapped me so hard that the gum went into the third row. And I wanted that piece of gum. It was very delicious. It still had flavor. And
Damn.
that kind of, I think, was the last straw.
What type what type of gum do you like to chew?
Cinnamon, bud.
Cinnamon? Um I'm actually allergic to cinnamon. but but I did like some Big Red and stuff back in the day. Now I just pretty much
Icebreakers, man,
ice.
icebreakers.
Oh, you like icebreakers? Uh,
Cinnamon gum.
okay. Yeah, Eclipse or a Dentine is about usually what I'll chew and stuff. But anyways, I
Yeah,
didn't.
so if any fans are listening and they caught my gum, I don't want it back. But I would like to know that it's not on eBay. It's not being sold for profit. Um, nothing like that. Just cherish it. Put it in a baggie. It'll never be worth anything. But
um, Speaking of bagging stuff and trying to sell it on eBay, which you know I'm a big fan of Jimmy Cornette,
oh
and
yes, everybody loves Jimmy. Well, not everybody, but
right, right,
he's
but
an acquired taste.
he there was a clip of him, and I know you'll know who I'm talking about, but there may be some fans that won't know who I'm talking about. But his name is Kenny Bolin, or Star Maker Kenny Bolin,
Uh-huh.
and they had a, let's see, I want to say it was back in '09, and they were on a radio show. I think the host's name was Callie Couric, and this is one of the many times that Cornette and Bolin were not on the best of terms and stuff, and they'd known each other, been friends with each other since the '70s. But Cornette breached the subject about how Bolin's son was working at an institute in Louisville, and something to the effect of collecting feces, something about collecting feces of a famous serial killer, that Kenny Bolin was trying to collect feces of a convicted serial killer that was supposedly famous, but they didn't name any names, and it was wanting to sell it on eBay. And then Cornette said that Kenny Bolin has been reduced to selling a sack of shit.
That is, a matter of fact, that is news to me, and it's quite disturbing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but you know what? That
What?
could be a new job for Slugger. He could go around the locker room collecting shit.
Now, Coy, you know as well as I do, he's not brave enough to get his hands dirty. He'd be paying somebody to collect the shit for him.
But he's got a long list of nightmares that could do it for him.
Well, this is the first, if I'm not mistaken, isn't this the first ever War Games for the NAW promotion?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So y'all are actually setting a precedent and stuff.
Well, it's gonna be interesting. Speaking of interesting,
Hmm.
you said you were at the last show.
Yes, sir.
Did you notice or see Nick Willis do that swanton to the apron?
Oh, yeah, I sure did. Mm.
That's
Yeah,
the kind of people Slugger surrounds himself with.
uh,
Idiots.
yeah, yeah. I saw Slugger's reaction to it as well, and yeah, that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nick Willis. I mean, he's a gifted and talented wrestler. Um, but yeah, man, that hurt me whenever he landed. I mean, it was just a solid
I bet it hurt him more.
do what,
That's I bet it hurt him more than it did you.
right, right.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome up until the part he missed.
Mm-hmm. When I saw
You
him,
know, when
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Morris got out of the way, it was just back versus apron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that apron doesn't give very much, does it?
Not at all. That's the hardest part of the ring.
Yes, sir.
You
Um,
can make a meme out of that too.
do what?
You can make a meme out of that too.
I think it's safe to say we could make a bunch of memes just off the nightmares of Naw.
That whole group's a clown show.
Yeah, yeah, and they got
Edie thinks, um, Nick, rough landing with us. I mean, we got a whole clown show, all led by a guy in a hockey mask. Ain't that great?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
You know, he wears that hockey mask and that tuxedo jacket. It kind of looks like the nicest killer you ever meet. Like he
Oh,
could stab you, or he could be your friend. You never know.
yeah. Well, I'll say this, when I first saw him come out, I was like, what the hell is this? You know,
I think everybody thinks that.
yeah, because because I was at the show in attendance when he made his debut in March, and I, like everybody else, saw, like you said, a guy walking out with a tuxedo jacket with a hockey mask and a baseball bat, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this? And then when he unmasks, I had the same reaction that some of the people in the crowd did. Oh God, not this guy again.
Well, you know, I might be biased, but I would leave the mask on if I had a face like that when I took it off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, there was actually some people in attendance that were actually telling him he needed to put the mask back on. Actually, so
Oh, it's tragic. How do you scare more people taking the mask off than you do wearing a horror mask?
uh, well, you got to be extremely gifted to be able to do that. It seems like.
Special times, man. Special times.
Oh man, yeah. That wouldn't just that face wouldn't just scare small children. I mean, it'd scare anybody for any age. I swear. Oh geez, but oh Slugger, yeah. I tried to get that asshole on the podcast, but he demanded so much money and he wanted so much airtime, and I couldn't promise him that. So
What a
uh,
selfish guy.
yeah, he's a fucking piece of shit. So yeah, fuck you, Slugger, if you hear this. Um, but
Okay, he learned from Chad McCoy.
damn shit. Oh man. Oh jeez.
Chad McCoy charged his own mother.
Oh really?
Oh, he's tight.
Yeah. He. Speaking of
He's
Chad.
tight. He's tighter than bark on a tree, but I tell you.
Oh shit. My stepdad. He's been married to my mom for almost 30 years and stuff. And great man. He taught me a lot of stuff. But he first few years that him and my mom were married, he was really tight with his money. Um, but I mean, my mom's the only individual he's ever married. I mean, heck, he was a bachelor till he was like 35, 36. But yeah, he was really, really tight with money. Oh man.
You know, women have that effect on men.
Yeah, very true. But let me jump back to Chad. Now he had a match with El Loco Diablo. It was a number one contenders match, and he wound up winning that. And I saw on the card, I believe he's challenging Casanova for that bluegrass championship at the next event, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but you know what? Chad, he's very talented.
Hmm.
Um, but I think he's too high on himself. So I'm sure the kids are going to take advantage and retain his title because his confidence is going to screw him.
Well, I'll tell you, now Casanova, hell of a worker, hell of a worker. I mean, um, just amazes me with that kid. And old Slug, he was another person. Old Slugger decided to cheap shot and try to screw out of the bluegrass championship. At the March show, but unfortunately for Slugger, things didn't work out for him. Right?
There's a lot of things not working out for that feller.
He probably just needs to, and I'm going to quote what the Ultimate Warrior said to Kevin Nash in a shoot video many, many years ago. I think Slugger just needs to pack his fucking gear bag, do the right thing, and take his ass home. So,
I don't know. I've never seen him with a gear bag.
Well, I have heard that he has bought gear for the match. I've heard he's got gear now. I don't know if he's actually going to get in the match or not, but I've heard he has bought some gear.
In the
Maybe
cage?
he bought some gear for the next not pay per view. Excuse me. He bought some gear for the next event, but but there's no word if he's actually going to be in the match. So,
I
maybe
wish it was pay per view. I'd need a bigger payout.
right. Hell, maybe this gear will be an upgrade from that crappy ass tuxedo jacket that he wears. So,
Tell you, I'd keep it on.
oh me. Well, actually, I did want to ask you this. So, um, I know you were kind of gone for a bit and stuff because I know you know what we had talked about and stuff on the last episode. I wasn't able to be in attendance for whenever you came back for the April show, and you had a match with Alexander Cage. But I saw the pictures, and when I saw the picture of you, my first thought was, "Who the heck is that?" Because I couldn't recognize you. You looked a lot different. You look like you've lost a little bit of weight.
Uh,
have you trimmed down a little bit?
Negative.
Negative, really,
I haven't lost anything.
really.
It finds me.
Gotcha.
Um, now I like to eat, brother. By no means am I sloppy, but I love my Pepsis. Uh, I try to eat right, but moderation is one thing I've never been good at.
Well, I was gonna say if you had lost some weight, I was gonna say you looked fantastic, you know, and I mean hell, you've looked fantastic at the last two shows that I've sat in attendance for and stuff and all that. So I was just gonna give
Well,
you
I
props.
changed my gear around.
Okay,
I've got out of most of the spandex
yeah.
and dark colors. They kind of hide. I mean, if you ask me, I'm in shape because round is a shape. So,
oh me,
but no, I still feel great. 6'3", 350 pounds. By no means am I like grossly overweight, but I like the size I'm at. It gives me an advantage.
well, and you move good for a big guy, and that's kind of a
Oh yeah,
rare thing to see these days. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up. I was always a bigger kid, so I mean, I played all kinds of sports. From the time I could hit a ball off a tee or throw a football or anything, man. So I was always very agile and very competitive too. That so I mean that's the thing. Like you're not going to outdo me. So
Right. I feel you. No, I'm very competitive myself, and I'm kind of ashamed to say, whenever I was in the church bowling league that used to run over here in Princeton, back when that bowling alley was still open, I was in the Monday Night Church League, and unfortunately, sometimes when I was doing bad, my over competitiveness would really change my demeanor and my attitude and stuff. And yeah, yeah, sometimes I get a little over competitive at times, but
you might want to relax on that.
I,
Them female listeners you got on here, they find out you were on a church bowling league. Well, you'll be beating them off with a stick.
oh man, yeah,
Nothing says sexy like Velcro sliding shoes.
Actually, the my bowling shoes that I bought, they actually were they're not the Velcro. They're actually laced. Um,
Oh,
but
dude, look at you.
but yeah, man, hell, I've got my own bag. I've got two hook balls and a spare ball. But I mean, the last time I went to a bowling alley, I took Brianna. We went to the Cardinal Lanes in Paducah. It was like May of 2023, and that's the last time I bowled. So man, it's been over 2 years, and um, like I said, the Princeton Bowling Alley, they shut back in October of 2022. And with me living in Eddyville, I didn't really, well, let me backtrack. I wouldn't have had a problem driving to Madisonville for league night on Monday nights, considering the previous job that I had, I was off on Monday nights. But my wife at the time told me, nope, you're not driving to Madisonville to bowl in a league. Nope, not happening. I was like, okay. I was living by
Yeah,
that.
so you can't trust a lady that won't let her man go bowling. I mean,
Oh, Coy, man, you have no idea, man. When me and her first got together, um, I would bowl. I had the church league on Monday nights. They had a Tuesday night competitive league, but I didn't. I wasn't a regular. I was just a sub. Which, for those of you that don't know about bowling leagues, if you're a sub, you don't have to pay dues or anything like that. You just sub on whatever team needs somebody. And I would generally do that like on a Tuesday night if she was working or something like that. But if she was off, obviously I wouldn't because I'd spend time with her. Well, then COVID hit, and of course, the shutdown and all that happened. And then when they started to reopen the bowling, restarted reopening places and stuff like that, she told me flat out, she was like, well, and we had just gotten married at this point. She's like, well, when the leagues start back up, she said, you're not doing two leagues. She's like, you can pick one and that's it. And this was like, excuse me, maybe 2 months into the marriage, and I'm like, what the hell?
but did you tell her you have your own shoes and bag and all these variety of balls and
oh
the
she,
groupies are, you know,
oh she knew I had my own gear. Hell,
I've learned more just in the last 4 minutes.
are you there?
Oh, I'm here. I
Okay.
just saying I learned in the last 4 minutes talking to you more about bowling than I ever knew.
Oh, really?
I didn't know there was more than one ball.
Yes, sir. It's funny because one of the bowling balls that I have is one that she bought me for Christmas of 2019. So yeah, there's balls that'll hook. Then you have your straight balls, as they call it. People that bowl regularly, they use that to shoot at the 10 pin or the 7 pin. Depending
Nope.
on if you're right or left handed and stuff. So
I like to think I have straight balls.
yes, sir. Same here. I like to think I have straight balls as well. So
Last time I went bowling, it was for a birthday party for a child, and they did me a favor and they blew up the gutters so my ball would go in the right direction.
oh, you're talking the inflatable bumper guards.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's hard to have a bad game like that.
Yeah, man. No,
It's my handicap.
I have not been to a bowling alley that I've seen inflatable bumper guards since God, since I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. But like most of them now, they have which they're guards, but they're like rail type guards and stuff now. So, but yeah, man, I definitely need to hit the bowling alley up at some point. But because 2 years is a long time.
You're a wild man, bud.
I live a pretty simple life, man. I work out, go to NAW shows, do an occasional podcast episode, sing at my church. That's pretty much about it, brother. So,
And if all you ladies are listening, he is single.
yes. Now, I am going to make this caveat. Uh, I finally got her to sign the papers back in like beginning of April. Uh, Keep in mind, we'd already been separated for 9 months at this point, and hell, I had the papers ready right before the Super Show back in December, and it took 4 months before she finally signed them. Now I'm just waiting to get the letter from the judge saying that our marriage is officially dissolved. So yeah. Anyways,
Kind of sounds like you had a pair of papers folded up waiting.
yes, sir. Which we did this ourselves. Well, actually, I did it all. I pretty much did it all myself. But for those of you that cannot, I'm going to go ahead and plug this website. But for those of you that don't want to go through lawyers and all that, go to onlinedivorce.com. And it's a pretty simple process. You give them their information, and they'll fill out everything for you and get the papers to you. And depending on if you want them, how much you want them to do for you will depend on the price, but prices will range between $150 to $350. So,
How much you getting paid for that plug?
zero. They ought that they ought to pay. I ought to reach out to them and have them pay me for that. But no, I make $0.
Oh, you got more out of the divorce than $0.
Mm. Well,
Divorce is a way to start over.
buddy, I'll tell you, after this is over with, I really don't know if I could do it a third time. I don't know if I did tell you on the last episode that I had you on, but my dad, which you knew, he retired from the Paducah and Louisville Railroad.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's on his fifth marriage right now, and I definitely don't want to follow those same footsteps. You know what I'm saying? So
Too much bowling.
do what?
He does too much bowling.
No,
They're jealous.
he wasn't a bowler. He was a golfer though.
Better do it too.
Yes, sir.
You know which has the highest divorce rate?
Uh, you cut out on me. Last thing I heard was divorce rate.
Wrestling.
Oh, wrestling's the. Oh shit.
Wrestling will get you a divorce.
Oh man. Oh man. Well, it's ironic. Yeah, it's kind of ironic because whenever uh before I started, coming to the NOL shows and stuff, that was actually around the time that me and my ex had split up and stuff and all that. And I gotta say, NOL promotions really helped me out, through all this and kind of helped take my mind off things. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, was your wife in attendance at the last show?
I have a wife.
Do what?
I do not have a wife.
I thought you had a wife.
No, I have never been married.
Oh, okay. My bad. Well, okay. Well, damn, I feel stupid. Sorry about that, Coy.
Yeah. Feel sorry about. Feel sorry for her. I've never been married.
Well, I'm gonna I'll tell you this, man. Marriage, it can be a great thing. It can also be a not so great thing. It just really depends. So, anyways, yeah. For some reason, I thought you were married. My bad, brother.
No. Never took the leap. I have a long term girlfriend though.
Oh, okay.
Very great woman, but we just never got married.
Well, and I'm gonna shoot straight with you, man. If I was to ever, meet the right one, I mean, hell, I mean, I'd be okay not to do the marriage thing again. I mean, as long as I had a good woman by my side, then that's really all that I'd care about. And as long as she's good to my kids.
That's the important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'll tell you this, Brianna, she wasn't a big fan of my second wife, and she, ladies, if you're listening to this, you have to pass the Brianna test. Well, if she doesn't, excuse me, if she doesn't approve, then no, that's it. Sorry. Next.
So
Um, Go ahead.
really really funny setup here. I actually have my daughter and my girlfriend calling at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they keep tight tabs on me.
Oh, yeah. Um, I haven't
If
really had
we
it.
can,
Go
if
ahead.
we can pause and then I call you right back and we really get into some wrestling.
We can definitely do that. I'm gonna, folks. I'm gonna hit the pause button, and we will be right back. All right, folks, we are back, and yeah, Coy, we'll go ahead and jump into some wrestling. Have you been following any of the current product that's out today?
No. I don't. I'm not a big TV wrestling guy. I well, I'm never home, so it
I,
sucks to try to catch up. It's always changing.
yeah, man, I'll shoot straight with you. So, like back in, let's see, Elimination Chamber, that was back in February. That was like the first big, well, now they don't call them PPVs anymore. Now they're PLEs. And that was like the first one I'd watched for WWE in like 6 years. And I watched night one of WrestleMania. I didn't bother watching night two, and I haven't really watched the product. I see like TikTok clips. I've read some wrestling headlines on the like e-wrestling news and .com and ringsidenews.com and stuff like that. But I haven't really been following much of the product recently because you hit the nail on the head. Everything's always changing. It seems like.
Yeah, I just can't keep up with it. We being on the road all the time. It's like this person is them, this person now, and this person is this person now, and it's like, holy moly.
One thing that didn't make sense, and I did read up on this, which Jey Uso had a big win on in the opening match at night one at WrestleMania when he defeated Gunther to win the belt,
Stupid.
and that was awesome that he won it. It was a really good match, and now he has lost the belt. He lost the belt on Raw, I believe, to Gunther, and it was to set up a Gunther versus Goldberg match, I believe, at the next Saturday night's main event. And when I read that, I'm just scratching my head thinking, why? You know, um,
You think-
oh, you thought the same thing too?
Well, first of all, I thought it was stupid that Jey Uso beat Gunther with Gunther's move. Like wasn't even really a good match leading up to the finish. Um, I didn't think so. I mean, but who am I? But and now you're bringing Goldberg back of all people, who last time he wrestled had one of the shittiest concussed matches in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a time to hang it up. I mean,
And I'm a big Undertaker fan, and that match that he had with Goldberg, that would have worked better, 20 years ago. You know,
yeah.
um,
I mean, the thing with WWE is they're so stacked with people that good storylines, they wait and they wait and they wait, and next thing you know, they're bringing back dinosaurs to wrestle, and it just don't work. That's it. They've done that 20 years ago. Undertaker and Goldberg have been pretty awesome.
yeah, yeah, because I mean Taker, he had just, he had come back with as the Dead Man. And I know when he came back as the Dead Man, I know Goldberg was on his way out, but I mean, maybe had Goldberg stayed a little longer and stuff and all that, they could have really put on a hell of a match. And to be quite honest with you, Goldberg needed one more good match, especially after that one that he had with Brock at WrestleMania 20 that stunk up the joint. But yeah, I mean, what can you do? Um, yeah, that concussed. Yeah, yeah. Didn't I think Goldberg he knocked himself out in that when he
Knocked himself out before the match.
God. Mm 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 mm. Yeah. You mentioned about hanging it up and stuff. I mean, and he's not the only one that just refused to hang it up. I mean, Hogan and Flair both. I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from what those two have done for the business. But they should have hung it up a long, long, long time ago.
There's a time to hang it up when you just can't perform anymore.
Hmm.
But also, if you're still drawing money, though, it's hard.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely hard to walk away from that money, and there's no telling how much Goldberg will make just from that match with Gunther alone. Whenever the match happens, um, I can't say specific. I can't say with absolute certainty on this, but this is actually, I'd say he probably. I'm just going to speculate here because there was a match that Kenny Omega had with Chris Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom in 2018, and Jericho had just been fresh off from leaving WWE, and rumor had it, and again, like I said, this is just rumor and innuendo. Rumor had it is that Jericho got paid like 1.5 million for that match with Omega. So I'm
Yeah, it
thinking,
was a damn good match, though.
hell yes, it was.
That's, that's Chris Jericho looked in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I loved everything from the start of the match to the very end of it. I liked it when he smacked that referee they call Red Shoes. He smacked him and put him in the walls of Jericho, and then one of um, the young lions, as they call them in Japan, for the listeners that aren't familiar with the Japanese promotions, their trainees are called young lions over at New Japan, and one of the young lions tried to intervene, and turns out it was actually Red Shoes' son. I think it's Shota Uno or whatever. Well, then Jericho wound up clocking him and put him in the walls as well. And but yeah, Omega and Jericho, they had such great chemistry, and that was definitely worth that payday. Now the Goldberg Gunther match, uh, I'd say Goldberg will make a good paycheck from that, but you
Well, yeah, and that's the problem. Like, I've never really got into Brock Lesnar because huge props for the dude because he was always badass wherever he went, UFC, wrestling, whatever. But hell, he just was part time, man, and I
you're
don't think you can build a good show around part time.
no, no, and also it puts a bad taste in your full time roster's mouths. I mean, you got these guys and girls that are they're full time and stuff. I mean, why not give them that spot? It seems like that would make more sense, but that's just how they do things. I had told JC this. It wasn't on a podcast episode, but it was one of our many long conversations, and we had talked about the Lesnar Goldberg match that they had at Mania in 2017 for the Universal Championship, and I told JC that whenever I watched it, as soon as the bell rang, I hit the time, I hit the stopwatch function on my iPhone, and
Didn't
it
last long, did it?
4 minutes 57 seconds.
So
It was nothing but spears, German suplexes, F5s, and jackhammers, and that was it. 4 minutes 57 seconds, and yeah.
that
Uh,
was a weird match. The way it flowed and the way it ended, like it was just like
mhm. And
I don't care who you put in that ring. Brock Lesnar would destroy any of them.
yeah, yeah. Now I was and I'm not taking anything away from Brock. I was a huge fan of him during his first run with the company when he was with them full time. I mean, near 300 pounder doing shooting star presses and was strong as a bull and could put on.
He did a shooting stars press, but let's remember it almost ended his career.
Yeah, yeah, that did almost end his career. And Ric Flair said it was a documentary. He said, "Thank God for all the neck bridges he did, with his amateur wrestling and stuff." He said because that would have killed a normal man.
Yeah, it wasn't the best shooting star press I've ever seen.
There is a you. I don't know if the match is still on YouTube, but this was back when Brock was still with OVW, and he was tag team with Shelton Benjamin, and they were wrestling.
Yeah, he could do the shooting star press then.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw him do that. I thought, holy shit! I was like, damn, that's incredible.
A lot younger though.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Age can sneak up on you.
do what?
I say age can sneak up on you.
Yes, sir. Um, the I had when I was at the gym, which I've got a different shoot job now, and there's a 24/7. There's a couple places that are open 24/7, and I went in after work. It was like, I don't know, 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. I swear there was this guy in there at one of the squat racks. I swear I thought it was you for a second. From a distance, it looked like you, and then I kept getting closer. I'm like, that looks like Coy Daniels, and I was like, then I got even closer. I was like, no, that's not him. Never mind. But I swear, man, you had a twin
Damn
at
right.
the workout anytime gym at 2:45 in the morning.
That's my stunt double. Keeping up appearances.
Yes, sir. Um, I've had to alter my workout regimen too, and because age is, like you said, I know I'm still, I'm only 39. I mean, I know I'm still technically young, but I can't go like I did back when I was in my 20s, and my body doesn't recover like it used to. And hell, I've been between back injuries, shoulder injuries, and stuff. I've had to bite the bullet and lighten up the weight load and stuff and focus on more repetition and conditioning and stuff and all that instead. So, but I will say this: been doing it for a few weeks now, and it's um I mean, I feel like it's going better. I'm not dealing with injuries, and um I have slimmed down a little bit, but my body weight's still the same. So, I mean, I guess we could say that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, most of the ways more than
Yes, sir. Muscle does weigh
Pat
more than.
does.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Um, I had asked JC this on the last episode I had him on, but I want to ask you this question. And if the territories were still up and running, and you had a chance to go work for any of them, whether it was NWA, WCCW, AWA, any of them, what territory would you have liked to have worked in or been a part of?
That's tough. Honestly, I'd love to been into the Memphis scene.
Really?
Oh yeah, like grew up watching that. That was the big wrestling on TV on Saturdays and stuff, and that was my first real exposure. You could watch WWE on Sundays and stuff like that, but it wasn't the same as the Memphis wrestling. The Memphis wrestling just seemed so real.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the stuff they were doing was before their time, man. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, watching some of their matches, man, that crowd was on fire. I mean, especially in
Well, the studio crowd, man, that's awesome.
mm-hmm,
Like I wish we could do more of that around in the independent scene.
mm,
I know when JC and Justin Styles were, you know, in the midst of resurrecting and all, they had talked about the place that they'd rented out actually running like a studio show.
that would be awesome. That would be awesome if they could do that, most definitely. Because you don't see that anymore, you know.
No, you don't.
And and I'm not trying to sound like an old school wrestling zealot, but I mean, that stuff worked back in the day. Memphis.
Really, it was always really cliche though, because you'd have Lance Russell and them, and they'd always have like the wrestler come out and do an interview, and it always got interrupted. The fight started, and they'd have a match.
Oh yeah.
Like it was very predictable, but it great quality though. Like I mean, like Jerry Lawler and all them, man. Like they were just above their, ahead of their time.
Yes, sir. Um, Lawler, there was a which I had this old wrestling tape that I got when I was a little kid, and of course I didn't know that that was the Memphis territory at the time, but there were three matches on there, and the first one was Hulk Hogan versus Jerry Lawler, and let me think. Let's see, Jimmy Hart was managing Hogan at the time, and I, yeah, I'm gonna say this might have been before he went to WWF the first time, or it might have been shortly after Vince Senior had let him go and before he went to AWA. But
So, you talk about Hogan?
yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Lawler made his entrance. He was actually riding on a horse, and he came out to some of the music from the Rocky movie. The Rocky movie is usually the one that played at the end of the um, after Rocky would get the knockout. The music that would play that's what Lawler had come out to in that match, and pretty good match. And of course, at that time when I saw it, I was like, "Wait a second, Jerry Lawler is a bad guy. I mean, wait, he's wrestling as a good, he's a baby face. What the heck?" And
Right.
yeah, because see at the time, and I didn't know that was the Memphis promotion. It was a good match. The second match was it was Nick Bockwinkel against shoot, I think it was the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez,
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
and that was that was actually that was a studio show match, but real good match, and blood was definitely drawn in the match. And then the third one, it was the Sheik versus I cannot remember the guy that the Sheik wrestled, the original Sheik, Eddie Farhat, and fire. Sheik had that infamous fireball that he liked to use and stuff, and that wound up getting used in the match. And I was like, dang, this is pretty cool. You don't see shit like that. Especially during I guess we would call that the new generation era, but right before the Attitude Era for WWF. Um, I told JC that I would have been interested in going to in AWA, mainly because before Vince took over and stuff, AWA was like the go to place. It seemed like because they had such a broad expansion for their territory, and plus a lot of the guys that eventually went to WWF like Hogan, Patera, Sergeant Slaughter, Superstar Billy Graham, Jesse Ventura, all them guys were there, before they eventually went to work for Vince, and it'd have been awesome getting to work with those guys. And I know Jesse Ventura even stated in a shoot interview, he said that AWA's work schedule was really convenient. He said they'd work like I think it was either they either work 3 nights or 4 nights a week, but then they'd have 3 or 4 nights off so they can recover, work out, and spend time with their families and stuff like that. And I know Greg Gagne said in a shoot interview that usually it was like May to like mid June they have about 6 weeks off, and mainly because they didn't really draw a lot of crowds and stuff, but also gives them some time off to be with their families, and I thought that was pretty cool. So that would probably been the promotion I would have wanted to go to. So, are you still there? Hello? I can hear you now, just a little bit. You're a little coming in a little staticky.
Illinois connection.
Oh, it's all good, man. It happens. Hell, there are sometimes whenever I have a JC on for an episode, there'll be he'll hit a spot and stuff, and then it'll be kind of silent for a little bit. So I completely understand.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many. Actually, when I worked in Indiana, I was perfecting the fireball, um, but unfortunately, you can't use that in Kentucky. Maybe for War Games.
Maybe for War Games. Is it a safe bet to say that Slugger ought to, if he was to get in the match, he probably needs to keep that mask on then?
I think anybody can get it. I plan on bringing a lot of toys.
Mm. Well,
You
hey,
know, I'm not the biggest technical wrestler, but I can brawl and fight with the best of them.
well, I've seen since I've been with Naw, I've seen some of the battles that you've had, and yes, sir, you can most definitely. And I'd say the Nightmares better watch out, so because it's going to be a lot different being locked in the cage. So there's not many avenues of escape.
There is no escape. It
Um,
is the only way to win is to make the other team quit.
right. Um,
I don't plan on quitting. I know JC ain't gonna quit.
right. No, no, I don't foresee any of you guys quitting. So, um, getting
I
back.
don't even know what combination they're gonna use.
Hmm.
I mean, there's about four or five, about five of them nightmare guys. So
Hmm. Well, I guess we'll find out on July 12th whenever that does happen. But I still say it'll be a bad day for the Nightmares. So, and I'm sure the fans would agree with me on that.
oh yeah.
Um, you mentioned about not being able to use a fireball in Kentucky, and let's see, if I'm not mistaken, actually, let me backtrack. Let me, I want to stick with the fireball thing. You don't really see that much anymore in today's
No,
promotions, and it's really
no.
it's
A lot of people don't know how to use it. That's the reason.
yeah. Have you ever done have you ever done death matches or anything?
No,
No.
no, no.
Just done any hardcore matches or
Other than Falls Count Anywhere, I haven't did nothing like that.
okay. Um,
I
honest,
just try to keep it fresh and surprises every now and then. So
sure. No, I understand that. Um, have you watched any of the recent well, actually, well, yeah. Have you watched any of the recent episodes of Dark Side of the Ring?
I haven't. Like I said, my schedule is hard to like. I got them recorded, but
I've
it's hard.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's hard to catch them when they first come out.
I've seen a couple of the newest episodes on YouTube. Because I've got that Disney Hulu package and stuff, and uh, they've got the first 5 seasons on there. Usually, when a newer season comes out, it takes a little bit before they put them on there. But I saw the one about Hell in a Cell,
On Hulu?
the Disney Hulu package that I have. Yes, sir.
Oh, well, I have that package.
Hmm. Well, I'll double check it. Maybe I can access it. But the episodes I saw on YouTube, let's see, it was the one about the Hell in a Cell match with McFoley and Undertaker, and then I watched the one on the Sheik. God rest his soul. I'm really wanting to watch the one on Vader and Tony Atlas.
The Vader one I want to see because Vader was my favorite wrestler.
You kind of remind me of Vader a little bit.
Well,
Um,
if you look at my old gimmick, um, it's very Vaderish.
And that, and I mentioned earlier, that you move really good for a bigger guy and stuff, and and I said that's not something you really see much nowadays. And Vader, God, what 450, over six
Yeah.
foot, and just man, he moved like a cat and could freaking bust out Vader salts and stuff. I mean, he was just impressive, and I know he. Folks, if you haven't seen this, and I'm sure Coy would agree with me on this, look up Stan Hansen versus Vader.
Well, the eyeball incident.
Yes, sir.
He
God,
just puts it right back in place like nothing happened.
yes, sir. I mean, God Almighty, that was wow.
It's like, dude, you're missing an eye here.
Right. I remember he was trying to he put his right hand over his eye, then all of a sudden he took his mask off, and I think it was right after that's when he pushed it back in and whatnot, and hell, I mean he fucking finished that match with Stan Hansen, and just wow.
Well, I mean, just think about Stan Hansen though. That's one tough son of a gun. Like real life legit. He's a straight shooter, man. Like, and you put him and Big Ol' Vader in there, there's bound to be some stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. God, that Larry to his shit, man. Whew. I know people want to give props to JBL for the clothesline from hell, but man, no,
Oh, they have nothing on Stan Hansen.
no, sir. And Stan, he wasn't like a big bodybuilder or anything. The late Dale Wilkes, the Patriot, he said, Hanson was never a workout guy. He was a big, strong, corn-fed country boy.
Oh,
And,
you're that big naturally, you don't have to work out.
right. He did you see the clip of Hanson slamming Andre? And folks, let me go ahead and set the record straight. Hulk Hogan was not that slam that happened at WrestleMania 3. That was not the first time Andre was slammed. There were many others before him, and Stan Hansen was one of them. Coy, did you happen to catch a glimpse of that or see that match or
Oh,
clip?
yeah.
Just scooped him up with
The,
ease.
the thing that the whole Andre getting slammed thing, that was the first time Andre had ever been slammed on pay per view
Mm-hmm.
in WrestleMania. Not, it wasn't the first time he ever got slammed ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not many guys could do that, but when I saw Hanson pick him up, and I mean, and we're not talking like Andre in the '70s and stuff. We're talking like early '80s, and he's already getting close to 500 pounds, and just
Oh yeah,
and
he
Hanson,
scooped him with ease.
jeez, man. I saw a couple of Hanson matches that he had in AWA, and he
Then we used to have the tobacco juice just dripping out and running down his chest, and you couldn't understand a word he said.
I did see that when he was with WCW. Like this was like 90, 91. Um, had a big old wad of chew hanging out of his mouth. Had the juice dripping down his chest. I was like, shit, I couldn't do
Now,
that.
imagine if you had to wrestle that guy though.
Oh God. Mm, I
That's
don't
got to
know.
be intimidating.
Oh hell yeah. I mean, not geez. I mean, how many other guys have you met, during your career that ever had a big old wad of chew in their mouth and, walking down to the ring and dripping down their chest and stuff and all that? Have you ever come across anybody else like that in your career?
Oh no,
Oh man. And Hanson's a big old boy. He was what, three? God, he was well over
it's like
300,
370.
370. Shit. Damn. Oh.
Every bit of it.
Well, and not only that, but hell, what if you're having to work a tag match with him and the late Bruiser Brody? Oh God. Ooh.
I'd just retire right then and there.
I
Give me
think
my paycheck. I'm going to the house.
yes, sir. If it was me in the ring, as soon as the bell rang, I'd be tapping the mat and stuff and all that, and tapping out and be running to the back because oh shit. Mm.
I always like watching that clip with Bruiser Brody and Lex Luger.
Oh.
Brody wasn't having it.
No, sir, he was not.
You see it. I mean, Lex Luger wasn't a little dude, but he didn't want no part of that. He just basically quit in the middle of the match and just like, I'm going home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was tragic, man. I bet he could have been one of the great ones.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I watched that video and and Luger was 6'5" and Brody's dwarfing him, and it's like, good grief. I didn't just never realized how massive of a man Brody was, and
Oh man, unreal.
mm, it's a sad shame what happened to that man. That was just tragedy. Brody had so many more years left in him, and just what happened to him is, mm, it's terrible.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
um, I know Tony Atlas said in that Dark Side episode, he picked Brody up, and Brody told Tony not to drop him, and Tony said, "Brody, I curl more than what you weigh. You got nothing to worry about, basically." Um, man, mm.
Yeah, Teddy Atlas. I I never had an issue with him until he made a comment about Tracy Smothers.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Um, would you? Yeah, go ahead and share it if you'd like, man.
He was doing a shoot interview and he was just talking mad shit about him.
Mm,
And Tracy was one of the great ones,
yeah,
especially around in our area too. He always took the time. I mean, to go where he had been and where he'd been, and just to see him at like pop up at the indie shows and just interact with the new guys and cut jokes and always offering a helping hand and stuff. Like he was just incredible.
I never got a chance to meet him. Um, I've heard so many great things about the man, and I know I know JC's had a chance to work with him many times, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he had a Tracy Smothers T-shirt. Um,
I think everybody has a Tracy Smothers T-shirt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did not know that Atlas said anything about Tracy Smothers. That's actually new to me. Um, hmm, I'll be damned. Um,
I don't know where you could look it up because I don't know where I'd seen it, but yeah, he did, and it was like right after Tracy had passed, so
oh man,
real ill timing.
God, that's man. No, I'm sure I could find it on YouTube because there's a crap ton of shoot interviews with Tony, whether he's with uh, well, it was the guy that he did a thing from Boston, but he passed away. I think his name was Dan Marotti, and which before he passed, Tony had some not so good things to say about him. I know he's done some shoots on Monty and the Pharaoh, and hell, I think
Oh
there's
yeah.
some RF video stuff. I'm sure I could find it, but yeah, I'll try to do some research on that and see that. But dang, that's sad, especially after the man
Well,
just
the thing
passed.
I ask is if you know Tony Atlas he made himself look so good in the Bruiser Brody thing,
Mm-hmm.
but well, he didn't do nothing to help Brody.
No, no. Um, yeah, yeah. He did. I mean, he did make himself sound really good in that episode. Yeah. Um, but mm,
If he was that good a friend or something, why didn't he go after the dude that stabbed him? Or I mean, he basically sounded like he was chicken shit and got on a plane and got out of there.
well, according to him on that episode, he supposedly went with Brody to the hospital. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Apparently, supposedly,
And went back. He went from the hospital to the airport.
I thought he went back to the arena and had a match with Iron Sheik. At least that's
No,
okay. That's what he. Well, I know that's what he said, but okay. Hmm.
because if you listen to the rest of the interview, he talks about how I could have been, they could have got me, or nobody wanted to testify, and
Hmm. Hmm.
maybe
Mm-mm.
he did go back to the arena, but he didn't come back to Puerto Rico after that, though.
Yeah. Well, I hate this, and for something like that, I kind of don't blame the guy in that instance. I mean, because if they would do something like that to somebody like Bruiser Brody, I mean, nobody'd be safe. But I know that
Against Bruiser Brody, other than stabbing, though. I mean, you weren't gonna whoop his ass.
right. Well, and the guy that allegedly did it, I have to say allegedly just for legal purposes, but that allegedly did it. Supposedly, him and Brody had beef going back many years prior to that, and whatnot. And it don't matter if you got beef like that. Don't fucking do something like that. I mean, shit. Oh God,
It's just tragic.
it is. It is. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Brody was actually going to invest in that promotion down in Puerto Rico. I think like as a
Or
minority
like a
owner.
lot of people were, you know, trying to build it up
Yeah.
as like another territory.
Well, and if they had Brody backing them and stuff, I mean, they really could have if you think about it.
Well, I mean, you think about how nice it would be to go wrestle in Puerto Rico and then relax,
Hmm.
chill on the beach.
Yeah.
It's like going to work and a vacation at the same time.
Yes, sir. Um, Not many people know this about me, but my grandfather, I never did meet him. My biological grandfather, he was actually full blooded Puerto Rican. His
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. His name was Guillermo Vasquez, or as they called him in Princeton, Kentucky, Bill Vasquez. And he passed away about 10 years before I was born. So the man that I refer to as my papa, he was, God rest his soul. He wasn't my biological grandfather, but he was the only grandfather I knew. And so, what was that, buddy? You cut out on me.
Was this mother or father's side?
My mother's side. Uh,
Well, I didn't know.
yeah, I haven't really told a lot of people that. Not that I'm ashamed of it. Just yeah, I've never really said anything. And we're talking about Puerto Rico, but my Spanish is not the best. I could maybe say a few things, but not a whole lot. And it's really funny because I have a younger brother. He's 26. He'll be 27 in August. Me and him have you know we have the same amount of you know Puerto Rican blood, but he looks more like it than I do. He's more so olive skinned and whatnot, whereas I'm just pale white.
Yeah, wow, man.
uh, I was told this by my mama, God rest her soul. She had said she had told me me and her went to lunch at the Cracker Barrel in Paducah. She loved to eat at that restaurant, and she had told me she said that my brother strongly resembled my late grandfather. And I've never seen pictures of him or anything. I've just been told that my brother strongly resembles him, and that's about it. So
Well, I mean, at 23 and me, you might find out a whole lot of lineage.
yes, sir, absolutely. Um, Let me think here. Um, I know on the last episode that I had you on, you told me that you got to work with Bobo Brazil Jr. and you'd worked up over at Kamala Jr.'s promotion, and you'd also told me you got to work with the Honky Tonk Man.
Yes.
Um, were there any legends that you did not get to wrestle against that you would have, loved to have had a match with?
Well, the night I wrestled Honky Tonk Man, I was supposed to wrestle Dangerous Doug Gilbert.
Really?
Yeah, and I was very excited about that because I've watched him as I grew up, and you know, not to sound like a fanboy, but I always liked the Gilberts.
Mm-hmm.
I was a huge Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert fan. That's actually one of the Dark Side of the Ring ones I want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know situation wise why he never showed up, but he didn't, and which it was also okay because I was a huge Honky Tonk fan myself growing up. I kind of liked the heels when I was growing up,
Sure.
and it was a super honor to wrestle him, and it was great. It was probably one of the big highlights.
Um,
It was nerve wracking, I'll tell you that.
oh, I can only imagine. Um, golly, oh man. Yeah, Honky Tonk Man, he was at that time back then when, longest reigning intercontinental champion and very
Oh, he still lets it be known.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He very colorful character. Um, you know, he was a good
Wayne,
wrestler.
Wayne's a good guy too. I know there's been people on shoot interviews talk a lot of shit about him, this and that, and this and that. I had nothing but a great interaction with him. I mean, he was there to do a job. He had his gimmick table out, but I mean, he allowed me to talk with him before and after the match. Um, he had his own locker room, um, and I was the only other wrestler in there, and that was pretty cool. And to hear some stories, um, some unedited stories, and just from the bone, just stuff that only he's seen and knows, and to work out a match with him and it to go over very successful, and then to have that camaraderie outside of the ring after the match, and you know he allowed me to get pictures with him. Never asked for a dime. I mean, classy dude, man, real classy dude.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever listened to this on the you. I don't even know if it's still up there on YouTube, but you're familiar with Bubba the Love Sponge?
Fairly.
Well, let's see, him and his lackeys at the time, they um, they called up Honky Tonk Man and did an interview for their radio show or whatnot. It was basically one of them ambush type interviews, and Bubba the Love Sponge and let's see, he had another guy named Spice Boy and someone else. They basically just halfway into the interview, Bubba the Love Sponge ambushed him, and they basically said that he was actually on the Bubba the Love Sponge show and was just shit talk, did all sorts of shit talking to him and stuff like that. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And Bubba,
Ain't Bubba the Love Sponge the one that recorded Hulk Hogan getting laid or something, and then tried to sell it or some
yes sir, that's the one.
one piece of garbage?
Oh yeah, and
Well, I mean, Hogan come out pretty good on that though, but
right.
I think he made more money on that than he did ever wrestling.
Yeah, yeah. He told hell he even challenged Honky Tonk Man. He said he'd challenge him to a shoot style match. He said he'd pay him $10,000. He said that'll be your biggest payday since working for Vince. Et cetera, et cetera. He was knocking Honky Tonk Man for still, making appearances for independent promotions and shit like that. And he actually, uh, he actually downgraded Paducah, Kentucky. He referred to it as bumfuck Paducah, Kentucky and stuff, selling your pictures for $5 a pop and all that, blah blah blah. And I was like, "Jeez Louise, man!"
Well, I'll be the first to tell you, he don't sell his pictures for $5.
Oh man.
Like I said, I enjoyed working with him, but I wasn't paying what he was wanting to pay for a picture.
I heard that, man. Uh, the, I haven't really heard much, but does Honky Tonk Man still make appearances, like for independent
Uh,
promotions?
I'm sure he does.
Mm.
Um, and I don't understand why somebody, I guess that Bubba dude's a fan or something, I don't know, would knock any wrestler still doing independent shows because everybody started independent shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you're coming back, giving back to the business.
Yeah.
I don't see nothing wrong with that. So
Uh,
fuck Bubba the Love Sponge.
exactly. Well, Awesome Kong kicked his ass in TNA back when he had a short stint with them back in 2010. She beat him up. Um,
That's all you have to say right there is
yeah,
TNA.
yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, he came in.
You knock somebody for being an independent show, but you were on TNA.
He went to TNA, and this was right when I quit watching TNA. It was right when Hogan and Bischoff came in, which they were.
TNA is one step above an independent show.
Yeah, yeah. Before Hogan and Bischoff came in, I mean, I was watching it regularly for at least a year or so because it was something different. I got to see these other wrestlers, and then some people that had worked for Vince or had worked for WCW were also there too and stuff. But it was actually a pretty decent promotion. And Hogan and Bischoff came in. Then I
I
lost
mean,
interest.
when TNA first started, I liked it.
Yeah.
There were some guys on there I really liked. Abyss,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Eric Young, I thought he was phenomenal. Of course, they had that whole Canadian team with
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Roode and Beer Money was one of my favorites.
Yes. I've still got the
I wish they'd bring that back. That was pretty cool.
I've still got the Beer Money theme on my Apple Music. I've got a section of songs. It's labeled like wrestling themes and instrumentals and stuff. I've still got Beer Money's on there. The music that Kurt Angle had um, when he was in TNA. I know people call him Perk Angle because he had his demons back then, but thankfully you know he beat that thankfully. But God, he had some really great matches with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and
See, I never liked AJ Styles.
oh, you didn't?
No, and I don't like him now with his soccer mom haircut. He just looks stupid.
Oh man. Yeah, I never got that hairdo. He went from he had kind of like a flat top, kind of spiked flat top or whatever in TNA, and then he went to that. Yeah, it didn't make any sense, but
I mean, don't get me wrong, super talented, but
yeah.
that damn haircut, he could do better. I don't know how much WWE is paying him, but they can definitely do better.
God Almighty. I can't say much about hair because you've seen me. I've got none whatsoever. So, but yeah, yeah, I never did get that hairstyle. But to each their own, I guess. Um, there was something else about TNA. Oh yeah, I really the lethal lockdown match that they would have, which was basically their version of War Games, but I always liked it, especially when the top would lower and had the weapons and all that. I thought that was pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, they had some innovative things in that Ultimate X match.
yeah, that
God,
was cool.
God, one of my favorite, Christopher Daniels. Oh man, another talented
Fallen Angel.
fallen angel. Yes, sir. He he was also one of the guys that portrayed the suicide character that they brought in '09 after their video game came out. And when he would fly from the top of the pillar into the center where the X was, I was like, oh my god. I was like, that's just fucking incredible to watch. I used to say this to my buddies that I used to watch TNA with. I said, "Yep." I said Vince wouldn't let that happen, at least not back then. So,
No.
um, who else from TNA? You mentioned, you said Abyss, Eric Young, Beer Money.
Listen, he he pioneered the sports entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't wrestling anymore; it was sports entertainment. Which to each is his own, I guess.
I mean, he did something right. I mean, he built
I
a big
prefer
empire.
professional wrestling, but
Yes, sir.
I don't know anybody introducing himself as a sports entertainer. Like I'm sure there's some out there that do, but
Um, let me think. Let me see. You mentioned Eric Young, and when he went to, I actually got to see him and Robert Roode at a NXT house show back in 2017, and uh, they did good with Robert Roode when he went to the main roster. They didn't really do much for Eric Young, um, and it's a crying shame because he's very very talented wrestler. Um, I don't know. It seemed like a lot of these guys, at least at that time, if they come from the competition, if you want to, say that,
oh yeah, they
uh,
get a contract but get buried.
yeah. And I mean, Styles, hell, he was practically buried when he first went to WWE for a while, and then there
It was
towards,
almost like it was almost like a way for Vince to get back at him from not working for him in the first place.
well, that's that McMahon ego right there, and that's a
Yeah.
crying shame too. It's perfectly fine. And I know McMahon will never listen to this, but if he ever does, McMahon, it's okay for people to establish themselves elsewhere before they come work for you. I mean,
But it's not okay to shit on people.
it's not okay to shit on people. No, and and he shit on the people in WCW after he bought them out, and they went to go work
No,
for
he
him.
literally shit on that woman.
Oh, oh God, yeah, yeah. Oh, mm, yeah. It's definitely not okay to literally shit on people, McMahon. Oh God.
I tell you what though, I don't know for the amount of money she got. Might not be a bad deal.
Oh damn.
Knock a little turd off.
Yeah, yeah. And I may have told you this, or maybe it was somebody else, but yeah, I was actually working on doing an episode on that case, and I actually had the 67-page document up, and I was recording, and I got about 2 hours in, and I was about halfway through reading it, and I was like, okay, I've got to take a break because man, it was, oh God, the details, it was, whew, mm.
I thought there for a second you're gonna go back to that one dude talking about you had the actual shit that was bought off eBay that was from Vince McMahon.
No, sir. No, sir. I would never stoop to that level. Hell fucking no on that. So,
I'm gonna say a turd from Vince McMahon might be worth some money though.
yeah, that could probably probably pay my house off and pay my car off, but no, I can't do that. No. I'm going to have to quote Hulk Hogan here. That don't work for me, brother. So,
Hey, that's when you're happy you have creative control.
oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, oh geez, there's so much I could say about that, Coy, but yeah, but I mean, I think me and you both said this on the last episode. I mean, that me and you did together. I mean, the man. if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be the big contracts out there today. So I mean,
There's no doubt that he innovated wrestling and made it as global as it is, but still don't give you the right to poop on somebody.
exactly. And to
But
my
let me ask you this though:
yes,
as
sir.
arrogant, as pompous he is, and how rich he is, does it surprise you though?
No,
I mean, look at P Diddy.
yeah, you're very right on that.
I never want to be rich because I don't want to have those problems.
No,
Like
no,
the richer you are, the weirder you get.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the second most bizarre thing about McMahon was that the fact that he had sex toys named after and he gave named them after some of his wrestlers. That was the second most
Imagine
disturbing
what
thing.
the Brock Lesnar looked like.
Oh, oh God. Oh man. Oh. Well,
Or the what if you were getting the Andre the Giant
Oh,
tonight?
oh sh- does
That's
it?
pretty scary.
D- as long as it, well, oh God, no baby oil, get out, get out, no
Ain't no
baby
baby
oil.
oil because Diddy done took it off.
Shit, man. To my understand, well, you mentioned Brock. He didn't exactly get out of that unscathed either because I don't think he's been quote named, but it's been implied that he had some doing with that Janelle Grant girl, in this
I
lawsuit.
promised like her,
Yeah.
like from the leaked audio I heard, it was like, look, you resign. She'll do anything you want.
And he hasn't been seen since on WWE programming.
No, his ass.
What was
He's
that?
like, you better not have.
You had
But
cut you.
his daughter is apparently doing really good in track and field.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's really killing it.
She's ugly as all sin, though. But
I wouldn't dare say that to her face because she kicked my ass, and then after she got done, then Brock would kick my ass. But
I
yeah,
mean, it's basically Brock Lesnar with tit. Like it's
yeah,
scary looking.
yeah, yeah. I thought that too. Um, Jeez. I think her name is Maya, if I'm not mistaken, and I've seen pictures of her, and God, she is a freaking powerhouse.
Imagine bringing that home.
Uh, mm, hmm. I'll tell you this: if I ever dated her and introduced her to my dad, I know after my dad met her, he'd be calling me up. He'd be telling me he likes to preface stuff with the words "you need." He would tell me you need to drop her or something, or you need to get away from that.
Or
I can't.
college stars are making a lot of money now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that NIL deal they got.
I did not know that. Looking back, I wished I would have continued playing baseball even for the high school I graduated from, and maybe tried collegiate. But you know, I did a year of high school ball and going to practice every day after school, and uh, for like I don't know 2 or 3 months straight, and not only that, but on the days we had games, we still had to go and have a full practice and then play a game. We wouldn't get home till probably 11 o'clock at night, and still had homework to do and stuff. It was just exhausting, and I was like, no, I think I'm done after my last year of summer ball. Um,
Bowling was more your speed, huh?
do what, buddy?
I said bowling was more attractive to you than baseball, huh?
Well, I actually, buddy, I'll tell you, I didn't really start bowling until 2000, like
I mean, are
legally.
you a decent bowler? Like, I mean, what's your average?
Um, so let me think here. Um, I will say I'm an okay bowler. I fucking hated shooting the 10 pins. Um, I hated it. I was an okay bowler. The the Princeton bowling alley over here, I'd say my best average was like maybe a 193, and that's just an average. Now the
Hmm.
best I ever shot in like, just a practice round was a 276. That's the best I
So
ever
you
had.
never a Magic 300.
Never got a Magic 300. No sir.
You suck then. No, I'm playing.
Oh man.
There's dudes all over ESPN bowling 300s.
Yes sir. Well, but I'll tell you this: the Princeton bowling alley, they don't have those. They didn't have those shiny bowling lane or synthetic lanes like a lot of like these pros bowl on now. Which a lot of bowling alleys are going to synthetic lanes now.
So you're
Um,
saying nobody at Princeton's bowling a 300?
they had people that could bowl a 300. It wasn't a very big list, but they did have people that did do it. I mean, it is possible, but over there it was really tough, especially on those vintage wood lanes and stuff. So, but no, never hit the Magic 3. I think the best league game I ever had was like a 245, 250. That's a league game, which that 276 it was just a it was just to go in and bowl for the heck of it, practice type thing. Luckily the
Right.
lane had been oiled. um, for those of you that don't know, in order to you want to have a lane that's been freshly oiled, especially if you like the if you see these people throwing these hooks and curves and all that, that's your ideal lane. If you get a dry lane and you're rolling a hook ball, it's going to hook right to the gutter until you finally get yourself readjusted from a better starting point. So, um, yeah, I did watch a little bit of a PBA there for a bit, um, but I haven't. I probably haven't watched anything. I haven't watched any professional bowling in probably 4 years.
I can't watch like fresh pickleball is getting big. What do you think about pickleball?
I've never tried it, but I've heard what you said. It's becoming a big thing now.
Well, I don't think you're old enough to try pickleball. I think there's a 60-year age limit.
I don't know much about it. I mean, I'm assuming it's pretty much like tennis.
The tennis, I've never been a fan of tennis. Like watching it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Never really got into watching TV. It was soccer or ping pong or bowling or golf. I can't stand trying to watch golf.
Mm.
But I mean,
Yeah. I
I'll
try.
tell you something to do next time if you see it on TV.
What's that?
So turn up if you're watching women's tennis, turn it up, but don't watch it. Just listen.
Mm-hmm.
It's very erotic.
Okay, I'll be sure to do that.
All you, all you hear is oh.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely be sure to do that. So basically, that'll be my homework before it's either before the next show or before the next time we do a podcast together.
Well,
Um,
don't make it creepy though. I mean,
right.
you got to do it very tastefully.
Yes, sir. There was this is kind of wrestling. Well, there is it's kind of wrestling related. There was a bowler named Pete Weber, and he used to do the crotch chops at the pins once he get a strike and stuff. He was a pretty rambunctious individual, and one time after he won a tournament, he referred to himself as PDW, and as he was doing that, he was doing how RVD would take, would position his thumbs towards his shoulders and stuff whenever he'd say his letters and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. And then when Pete Weber won it was his fifth U.S. Open tournament. This was back in 2012. After he won, they were playing Triple H's Motorhead, the game theme in the background. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
What a mark.
Yes, sir. Oh man, Pete Weber was definitely one of the greats. But yeah, the crotch chops and talking smack and all that. Yeah, he was I guess you would say he could have been a good heel if he ever got into the business because he definitely loved to talk trash at times. He also wore sunglasses
Wow.
whenever he would bowl. Yeah, yeah, he wore sunglasses, and I'm thinking, how the hell can you do that? But something about, I guess, the shine from the oil on the lanes, I guess, affected his eyes, so he'd wear sunglasses, and yeah, and he wore a baseball glove on his right hand. He was a right-handed bowler, and he would kind of cut the glove, he'd kind of cut the fingertips off and stuff, so he could get into so he could grip the ball, his bowling ball better. So yeah, he was quite a character. They did have some WWE stars. Cut like a vignette promo for some of the bowlers in this one tournament back in 2021. They had Rey Mysterio, they had Seth Rollins. Let me think. They had Roman Reigns and I want to say Cesaro. If it wasn't him, it was Sheamus. But yeah, they had these guys cutting vignette promos. Basically hyping these guys up and stuff before they got to the lanes to start bowling and all that. So I thought that was pretty cool, but it would have been a little bit more monumental if they would have had the Undertaker, in one of those vignettes. So
Yeah, you gotta have the money maker there.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, Let me think here. Uh, I forgot to ask you. How's your shoot job going?
Fine.
Good deal.
I'm currently in Danville, Illinois.
Okay. Good deal. Hell, you've been there for about a year now. Is that about right?
Yep.
Good deal. Well, I started a new shoot job myself.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm back to making that long ass drive again and stuff. But it's 4 nights. Well, it's technically seconds, but we get off at like 2:15 in the morning. So
You
going
back in Madison?
Hanson actually.
Oh, you're Carhartt now, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It I'd left the other place and went and worked at a place in Princeton, which was a lot closer for me. That's the place where I had to miss where I wasn't able to watch the April show. But yeah, that company is not the I won't name it, but it's not the best company to work for. And yeah, I started. It was at the point I was dreading going in, so I started looking elsewhere. And Carhartt reached out to me, and they were actually going to offer me a little bit more than what I was making at this other shoot job. So went to work for.
Hey,
Been
you
there.
gotta go where the money is.
Yes, sir. And you got to enjoy what you do too. You know.
Oh yeah.
And I'll say this to our listeners, folks, don't settle. Don't matter if the money's good or if the location is convenient. If you dread going to work, it's time to get out of there. One thing about this place that I'm at is I work in a different area. I've been working in a different area each week for training, and once I'm turned loose, I'll work in a different area each day. So it's not monotonous. Basically, it'll be something different. But yeah, man, I've been there for a few weeks. It's a pretty good company to work for, and good people, and so yeah, I'm very very
That
happy.
makes a difference.
Yes, sir. I am hoping to, after this divorce is finalized, to to relocate at least back to Hopkins County, so I can be, somewhat closer. I'm just waiting until this divorce is finalized because I don't want to eventually buy a house, and then, if I'm still legally married, then she could have some kind of claim to it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
but yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with me right now. But let's see. Oh, hellfire! I'm getting got a little stiff there. Sorry, bud. Um, do you ever have you watched any AEW recently, or have you ever watched any AEW since they started up?
Yeah, I've watched a little AEW.
Um, what's your opinion on that promotion?
I like AEW a lot better than WWE actually.
I absolutely agree with you on that. Um, I spoke with Josh on the, oh, I'm sorry, JC on the last episode, and I'd mentioned about Tony Storm. First of all, she's fucking gorgeous. Tony Storm.
I heard that accent she does, and it's weird to me. I don't know.
Well, just but the character that she has now with the timeless gimmick, it's so over. I
I
mean,
liked it better when she had like that one suit with the paint under her eye. And
when she was like the rocker chick, I liked it too. But I don't know, something about this timeless gimmick that she has. It's just like really really amazing. Um, she that's kind of been the only thing that's really interested me until I read about Omega and Okada feuding again. And folks, if you haven't watched their matches in New Japan, I suggest you look it up. I mean, those two had some incredible matches in New Japan. Um, but yeah, AEW. I mean, I was thrilled to death when it started up. Um, when CM Punk went there and Daniel Bryan did in 2021, I'd kind of stopped watching it at that point. I never did really get back into it. Had a had a lot of stuff going on back then at the time, and um, but I think they've got a good thing going. I mean, there are others that would probably say different, but I think it's a good
they get
promotion.
a little more hardcore and outrageous. Um, I don't know. They're doing it. I mean, for one, it's a spot fest,
Yeah.
but it's a little more entertaining. I mean, there's a little more excitement, and I don't mind a little blood. I don't mind a little language. I mean, I think it fits. I mean, it's wrestling.
Hmm.
And you hit somebody in the head with a chair or something, and they don't bleed. It's like, huh?
Right.
Like
Yeah, man. I'm assuming you did, but did you see the clip of Moxley and that baseball bat with the nails or the bed of nails that he landed on?
that was insane.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Man, I cringed when I saw that. I was like, oh my God.
But so it goes to what? How much is too much? Like what? How much do you put your body through compared to like longevity? Like
um,
it's.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's just how long you want to wrestle, how long you want to make a career out of it, and how much money you want to make. As and then you're doing this to your body, like catches up with you.
Mm-hmm. Just ask Mick Foley, and not taking anything away from him. I mean, he did a lot for the business, but man, he put his body through all sorts of hell, not just with Vince, but for other
Oh, yeah,
promotions that he worked for.
he wasn't really a good wrestler, so I mean,
Yeah.
it don't take much to get thrown off a damn 25-foot cage and crash into a table and make a couple $1 million off of it.
Mm-hmm. Um, Moxley had he had a death. It was a death match with Omega, and the way it was built up, it was kind of built up similar to um, or you're familiar with which actually that's a dumb thing to say. Uh, I know you're familiar with FMW out of Japan.
Uh, kind of, sort of. I don't really pay a lot of, like I said, I don't pay a lot of attention to a bunch of wrestling organizations. Not because it's not interesting, but time management.
No, I understand. Well, FMW had started back in '89 by Atsushi Onita, and it basically became Japanese. It was a Japanese deathmatch promotion, and he had all sorts of matches. It was let's see, there were he had a fire death match, which the original Sheik got like 60+% of his body had like second, third degree burns. He had these time bomb. He had a time bomb death match with Terry Funk, and then he had this cage. It was an exploding cage with the time bombs and the barbed wire and stuff like that. And so I know.
I've seen. I keep seeing a clip, and I don't know if it was like a recreation of the match. I think it was in AEW, but it was supposed to be like that time bomb thing.
Yes,
And
sir.
when I think it had Mox in it, and they covered him, and it was like his little sparklers. Like
That's
it was super cheesy looking, and then the little explosion went off or whatever, but it just like fizzed. It was like, and they're
yep.
like, "What? Is that it?"
Yep, that is, yes, sir. That is exactly the match. When I saw that, I had to cover my face because I was so ashamed to see that because I was expecting a big kaboom, like Onita had, and I saw the sparklers. I thought, you've got to be kidding me, guys. And Eddie Kingston had come down and he had covered Moxley up from the explosion, which that was similar to what Onita did to Terry Funk before the bombs went off. But in Onita and Funk's match, it actually was a big explosion. It was a bunch of smoke bombs, and it covered them, covered the ref, the crowd, in like the first, oh God, I couldn't tell you how many rows, but yeah, yeah. When I saw that match, I was like, oh guys, come on now.
Also, I also keep seeing this clip that keeps playing, and I think it was the Young Bucks, and they super kick somebody, and the like shoe explodes.
I've seen that clip. I do not remember who they super kicked. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, I've seen that clip too. I mean, God Almighty.
Like I said, though, I don't, I don't get into that real outlandish, weird stuff like that. Like that's just real gimmicky, and it's not real. It's just
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. One of I mentioned Onita. He let's see, he still wrestles and does death matches even at age 67, 68 years old, or he may be a little older than that actually. I know he's had some death matches with a guy. I think his name's Matt Tremont. Um, over here in the states, I think he did.
Hugh Morris,
Huh?
Hugh Morris.
No, sir. No, this guy's name's Matt Tremont. I cannot remember what he might have been in Combat Zone Wrestling or something like that. I'll have to do some research, but I know Onita had a match with him a few years back. It was a death match, but no, no, not a. You're thinking of Bill DeMott.
Bill DeMott, yeah,
Yeah, that's another name you don't really hear much from anymore. Ever since WWE let him go as a trainer.
because he was abusive.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Did you
It's
ever?
the kind of new, it's the kind of new, gentler training.
Hmm. Uh, well, did you ever watch Tough Enough? Um,
No,
no. Okay. He could be brutal at times on some of the episodes. I do remember that. Which, I mean, hell, it's been over 20 years ago and stuff. Whenever he was training these folks, but yeah, he could be a little loud and be a little abrasive. So I mean, I think
well, it's funny though because you see that, and you see them. They give Hardcore Holly a bunch of grief,
hmm
kicking that dude and stuff. But like nobody realizes that was the standard back then.
yeah.
Anybody you have on your podcast, JC, uh, Diablo Loco, all them guys, if they ever attended the pain station that Gator used to put on, man, it was war.
Hmm. Hmm. So basically, what we saw, what I guess I would have seen on Tough Enough, that was pretty much minute to the pain station.
No, scripted. No, that was just for TV.
I got you. I got you. I've
They train guys now like they trained back then. There would be half the guys wrestling.
mm, hmm. Man, that really puts a lot. That kind of puts a lot of it into perspective now. Hmm.
I mean, they used to do drills, ring awareness drills, until you vomited. You would roll corner to corner, and you'd have to name what corner you're in, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you would roll, 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 and stop, get up, and they would like so. Like say if one person was standing in corner one, and you're like, all right, I remember this dude is in corner one. They would switch while you were rolling,
Mm.
and then you'd be getting dizzy, and then you would just barf everywhere, and then like Dutch Mantel used to make you get on the floor, and he'd wrap your hands around the ring post, and you would just raise up on your tippy toes and come back down, raise up on your tippy toes and come back down. And if you were slacking, or you wasn't doing it right, or quit, he would be in your ass.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I remember the first night I'd ever went to Gators facility. They had the Kansas City Rough Riders, and they pretty much, like, all these wrestlers started showing up, and I knew one of the Rough Riders, and it was me and little Steven McGregor, little shorty, and it was pretty much 4 hours of just getting the shit beat out of us.
Mm.
And mind you, the night before they had a show, and the Rough Riders had caught this dude on fire. Like, literally, that dude had skin hanging off. Like,
Damn.
um, and if you, JC could tell you a lot about the Rough Riders. He actually got to work them.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, Big Ray, he comes to all the NAW shows.
Really?
Yeah, he's the older man in the crowd that if you see a lot of guys that come out, they'll hug him, acknowledge him and stuff, because like he's like one of the pioneers, and he was the original assassin
Gotcha.
in the yellow and black.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's been all over, and his son and his nephew or his brother, and then his other son. There was four of them all together, and they used to take turns being Rough Riders. They're all big, tough, super mean, very stiff workers, and they beat the hell out of a lot of people.
Damn.
But they would show up at the pain station, and then Gator, he was WCW and all that stuff, and he would get in. He had an old wooden ring at first, and I mean, it don't give like today's rings, and
Mm. I've had a chance
it
to.
was just,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, it was hardcore, man. It was like, and these days you could just go get a physical and send your money to the commissioner, and they send you a license. Back then, you didn't get a license. You used to have to carry this yellow card with you, and you didn't get a license till the guy that was actually training you signed off on it. Like, he would fill out paper and everything and send it away,
Mm.
and that was how you got licensed, and that kept a lot of untrained wrestlers out of the business.
Honestly,
So,
that's a lot. That's a lot better in my I mean, in my opinion, that kind of sounds like that's a better method to go by. You know what I'm
well, it
saying?
is because look at Indiana. You got 15, 16-year-old kids wrestling grown men, and the shitty thing about it is you got promoters putting these kids over on guys,
Mm,
and these kids have no place in the ring, not only because they're so young, but they're not seasoned.
right.
Their bodies are still developing and susceptible to broken bones and injuries, and they haven't been bumping for long. So I mean, you go up there to Indiana, and a guy my size, and they put a 60-year-old kid in there with you, and you end up paralyzing him or something and hurting him, and then now his career's over, and
Right.
then you feel like shit for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something you wouldn't want to have hanging over your head. Most
Or in the
definitely.
same token, you get in there, and wrestling's a give and take.
Mhm.
And you get in there with somebody that may be young, or maybe not experienced or something, and they end up hurting you, and now hell, you're not making it rich in independent wrestling, so now you lose your shoot job, and you can't wrestle no more, and just because somebody hurried up and spent $40 in the commission and got a piece of paper that says, yeah, they're wrestling, they're active.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's mm. And I'm sure Indiana's not the only state that doesn't, require a license, correct?
Oh no, there's quite a few,
Okay. Hmm. Mm.
quite a few.
I've uh I mean, the only I've never been to like an independent, Indiana show. Like the only Indiana shows I've ever been to is if it was like, WWF at the time or WWE related, but I've never been to a independent wrestling show. I was going to go to that benefit show that they had up in Evansville today, but circumstances happened. I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but really wanted to go. I heard it was
Well,
it was
I
a pretty good
did
show.
hear that a lot of the Naw guys were there.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I heard as well. They were out there representing. So, um, yeah, I definitely would like to go see one at some point. Just to see what it's like up there. You know what I mean?
And I'd also, while we're on the subject, heard that there was two trainees from Null that got to wrestle,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, it's Indiana, so there's no age limit. But these kids are 15, 16 years old, and there was a lot of guys that said they were good. They did really good and listened and all that stuff. But now these bookers up there, they don't run storylines really. Every promotion I've ever ran in Indiana or whatever, it's you show up, you wrestle, and you go home. There's really little. There's only about one or two that I know of that does storylines. But other than that, it's just these shows that just bring people in, and each week you're wrestling somebody else. But now they got these two kids that, oh, these guys can wrestle, and they're going to start trying to book them, and these kids are going to take it because that's what they want to do. They're going to start getting booked, and they're going to go up there and they're going to get with some experienced wrestlers, some old school wrestlers or something, and they're either going to get hurt or they're going to get the shit beat out of them.
Mm.
And the promoter don't give a shit. He'll give them $15, $20, as long as he's got warm bodies to fill the card.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems in independent wrestling, but you know, no, I give them credit. They try to do it right.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Um, I'd heard that the trainees did really well in the match, and I heard the crowd popped really big for them. Um, I know I know Dee Jinx was up there at that show as well.
PD stinks. That's my new nickname for him. DD Stinks.
Oh me. Well, oh, I won't. Jesus. Oh me. I think the Gnaw crowd will be probably popping with that at the Rage in the Cage event and stuff. So,
Well, I tried to get it started last week, but
mm,
I think they were saying thought I was cheering for DD Jinx.
uh,
Maybe it's my southern tone, but Jinx and Stinks sounds a lot alike.
yeah.
I'll make a sign for the next show.
Well, you know they have those I think they call them sandwich boards or whatever that people wear. I mean, yeah, you could get one of them or something, and the guy
You
that
know how big that sandwich board would have to be?
I wasn't saying you had to wear it. I was going to say the guy that goes with you to the ring. He could wear it, at least to the ring or something.
So we're talking about Null now and independent wrestling and stuff. What do you think as I know you go to the shows and you see it firsthand. What do you think about the product? What do you think, you know, pros and cons? What could be better in your opinion? Or, what do you like about it? I mean, I want to see a different perspective.
Um, to be quite honest with you, I haven't really seen any cons. To be honest, one of the biggest things that I like is the storylines. It's not something that's hot shot. These are storylines that go for a long time. Like the first show that I attended was the June show of last year. And I'll just use this as an example. S&M and the Jolly Rogers. For the tag team belts. Heck, that storyline went all the way to December. To the Super Show. Um, the story. I know JC Flash, is contending with the Nightmares of Null right now, but you know, the story. There's a big story with him and Alexander Cage. They were the Flash brothers for some time. And then Cage turned on him um, at the very first show I went to, and that feud went on between those two until the end of the year, and it's continued into this year now that Cage is with the Nightmares of Naw. And
Well, let's not forget something.
go ahead.
That feud between AC and JC didn't start up until I walked away.
True, true, because you and JC had been in a feud for a while as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I had to step away and I relinquished the title, which I never lost. I'll go ahead and put that little nugget out there for everybody here. I never lost the title. And some circumstances, Alexander Cage got it, and then they had their feud.
Right.
And I'm still not quite over that.
Well, um, would you do you foresee yourself challenging for the Naw Heavyweight Championship anytime soon?
Mm. I don't even know who the non-heavyweight champion is. Oh, Sid.
Mm-hmm.
I've already beat Sid. Maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future, yeah. I mean, because yeah, you make a very valid point. I was there in attendance when you relinquished the title, and you had to step away, and yeah, and I was there for that match when, as I was in attendance for that match when Cage wound up winning it, and becoming the champ. Yep, yeah, I remember that quite well, and that's when I also got my first exposure to loudmouth Slugger Jackson, even though nobody knew what his name was for a long time. He was just referred to as the loudmouth, and I know,
He's just that announcer guy.
yeah, just that announcer guy. And he wore the James Kendrick T-shirt as well. Yeah,
He's a mark.
yeah, yeah, he was definitely a mark. So definitely a mark. Um, but another big pro is just how much the crowd gets into the show, man. I mean, even though it's a 75 to maybe 100 people, I mean, you would think you're in a packed arena, just with
That's
how much.
very, very lively 100
Yes,
people.
very lively, very lively, and they're very loyal. Nas got a very loyal fan base. Um, but no, I mean, I can't think of any cons that the promotion has had, within the year that I've been attending the shows and stuff.
So let's play a game of if you could be the general manager of Finale.
Hmm.
What would your first card look like?
Hmm. Dang. Alrighty. I don't want to copy the card that's coming up, so let's see. Hmm. I would put you. I'd put you in a match against Sid for the belt because, as you stated, you never lost the belt. Put y'all in the main event. Um, I would even make that a cage match just so that Sid's lackey couldn't get into the ring, and
I wish that dude
interfere.
would get in the ring.
Do what?
I wish that dude would try to hobble his ass in the ring.
Let's see. I would book JC and Diablo, and pit them against. I'd pit them against Alexander Cage and DD Jinx. Um, let's see. They've already got Casanova booked with McCoy, but uh, I would actually I'd pit Casanova against I would say Mars. I know they're baby faces, but I would book those two. I think they would knock it out of the park. Um, let's see. I'd put Nick Willis. I'd put Nick Willis against James Kendrick, even though James
I would
Kendrick.
love to see that match.
I think that'd be a hell of a match. I'd make that my opener actually. I think that'd be a damn good opening match. Um, let's see, and then for match number 5, um, hmm, just because he said fuck Kyle so much, I'd have to. Well, I mean, I've been one of them that said it too, but I'd have to say put Justin Style against Hood Billy Kyle.
I say it all the time. It's like my favorite thing in the locker room. As soon as he walks in, I'm just like, fuck Kyle.
Yeah, Hood Billy Kyle, if you're listening to this, fuck you. So, um, but yeah, that would be my 5 match card. So, um, if I booked the 6th match, I'd put Chris Crash against Chad McCoy again because they both had a really good match a few months ago. So I think that'd be I think they'd have an even greater second match. So yeah, if I'd book those 6 matches.
I'd want to wrestle Chad McCoy once.
You've never wrestled him?
Not yet. I mean, it'd be a pretty easy match, though. Think about it. He'll come to the ring, he'll shoot a 20-minute promo and wrestle for 6.
I'll tell you one thing: the guy can definitely get the crowd worked up. That's for sure. I know. I know when old Slugger was on. Was at the announcer's desk and stuff. Pretty much any time McCoy came out, he didn't even look at him. He just had a phone. He had a microphone in hand already, with his arm sticking out to hand to him. So because he already knew.
I would like to see during one of his rants just cut the mic off, cut it off, turn it back on, cut it off.
I'm sure if the microphone did get cut off, I'm sure he'd find some way to make sure his voice carried in the arena or something like that. um, since you asked me that question, I'll ask you the same thing. If you were general manager, what how would you book your first card?
Ooh. So I know a little bit more roster than you do.
Okay.
Like there's guys that come in that I'd like to see opening match. I would have to go with I don't know. I'm a fan of Kendrick. I like him. Um, I'd have to give him a good match. I'd like to see Kendrick and Judah.
Mm. Yeah.
The match I'd like to see Casanova and Mickey Midas.
Okay.
What would even be really cool would be Casanova, Mars, and Mickey Midas in
Mm-hmm.
a triple threat. That would be pretty cool. Um, I like so Beck and Roxo and Chad McCoy. They always do good together.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, see I guess Alexander Cage and DD.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see them take on in their prime and together S&M.
Yeah.
Um, and then just because we had so many great matches, me and JC again.
Mm.
Not trying to allude to anything, but
Sure.
you know we always had really good matches. Um, and then just for a gimmick match, I'd like to stick Rowdy Red versus his brother Roughhouse Rickard,
Mm.
just so we can finally see who the better brother is.
Sure.
Since they've both been wrestling for 30-something years.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, like probably put Chris Crash in there as well. I'd have probably a damn Johnny Richards type show with 20 matches. Yeah. Until you work the Master Rich show. That man can get every wrestler within 400-mile radius to show up at a show, and he'll work every one of them.
Really?
At bell time be 7 o'clock. Last match ending at 1:30 in the morning,
Damn.
and have a crowd the whole time.
Mm, mm, mm.
too, because the boys just being the boys. You know, the locker room's really laid back, relaxed, and I mean, hell, last time I worked, they had pizza ordered in for the mellow mushroom, and
Oh, hell yeah.
you ever see a locker room about 25, 30 guys in it, and a bunch of fresh hot pizzas land on the table, and it becomes a damn Royal Rumble back there.
Dang. And and uh and this guy's up in Indiana,
Yeah, Evansville.
Evansville.
He actually was on the show tonight.
Oh, he was.
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm. Well, I gotta say, yeah, I like the card that you came up with too, man. Um, yeah, I think that'd be a really good card.
and,
Um,
that don't even include the training. We got some really good dudes coming up.
hmm
Um, Nall is definitely growing. A lot of people, you know, Josh and Derek get people every day wanting to come in, and you know they. But we have a really good homegrown crop of guys. The locker room's good. It's a good environment, good locker room. The ring set up, the guard, everything is just phenomenal right now. The crowd's always great. Even when it isn't, the passion that them guys have, like you said, there could be 50 people there and it sounds like 200. You have 100, it sounds like three. It's,
hmm
you know, actually signed a baby last show.
Did you?
Yeah, it's funny what people ask you to sign. Like these kids that run around there, I mean, from shirts to weird, humongous golf ball looking things to broken pirate ore.
Hmm. Man, oh man. No, I've never. That's a first for me hearing of anybody signing a baby. That's freaking awesome. I
I had to ask.
do what?
I had to ask.
Yeah, you had to ask.
I was just in a mode, man. Me and Justin Styles was sitting out there, and everybody was like, "Sign this, sign that, sign this." And this little baby was going. I was like, "Can I sign your baby?" And they're like, "Sure, I'll sign anything."
Good deal, man. I got to make sure to send a text to you. I texted a picture to JC, because he's a big NWA fan, and one of my older episodes was of the first time I'd ever went to an independent promotion show over in Hopkinsville, and I'd had my pictures taken with the Rock and Roll Express and the Pit Bulls, and I
The
finally.
rapper?
No, sir. The tag team, the Pit Bulls, from ECW,
Oh, okay.
and I could not find the picture with the Pit Bulls, but I did find the picture with the Rock and Roll Express, and I took a picture of it and I sent it to JC. I finally found it a few weeks ago. I was digging around for some things. Um, I was actually having to try to find my dang high school diploma because Carhartt needed a digital or a hard copy of it and stuff before I started working there. And of course I'm digging around trying to find it, and sure enough, I find pictures, and I'm going through and I see the picture I took with the Rock and Roll Express, and man, what a moment! That's all I got to say. That was quite a moment. So,
You gotta get all them Carhartt people on board and have them come out to a show.
well, I've spoken to some of my coworkers about it, and told them when the next show was and stuff, and one of them sounded interested in maybe coming. So, and he don't live too far from Nebo. He lives over in Dawson, so he said he might try to come. So, maybe we can get some more people there for this next event because.
Dawson, the land that Justin Styles built.
Yes, sir. That was actually Coy, that's actually I've actually considered maybe moving to Dawson at least. I mean, it still
Uh,
it still put me did you say God, did you say God help me if I do?
yeah.
Well, so I know it wouldn't put me all the way near work, but it would at least cut out about a probably cut out about a half hour of my drive to work at least, and it still kind of keep me close to my church that I sing at. So that's kind of my logic, but you know, well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I've seen a couple
You
of
talk
places.
about singing, we might get you to sing the national anthem.
I don't know. I don't know if y'all want that. Oh, geez. I don't know if y'all want that, but uh, not that I wouldn't be interested in doing it. I just don't know if I'd be able to perform it very well. But I would definitely give it my best. So, but speaking of singing in church, I'm actually gonna have to cut this episode a little short, boss. Because I gotta
A
get
little
up.
short. We've been on here for 3 hours. You don't know it, but I fell asleep twice.
Oh shit.
No,
Oh man.
no, trust me, brother. If I fell asleep, you know it.
Yes, sir. Uh, I'm a big time snorer myself. If I fall asleep, then yeah, forget it. Um, I would like to eventually have you, and it'd be awesome to have you and JC both on here at the same time. Um, you know, I could maybe figure out something with this technology to where we can make that happen. That'd be awesome. Hell, I think we could talk for hours on end. But
That'd be a part 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
yes, sir. Or hell, if I could have y'all here in person at Grizzly's Cave, we could definitely make. I mean, we could definitely make that happen. But I know with our work schedules and stuff, it would it'd be might be a little hard, but we could figure something out. But
Oh, it's crazy. AC, and then I'll be like, "Where you at?" And he's like, "South Carolina." He's like, "Where you at?" I'm like, "Indianapolis," or like,
and where's Grizzly Andrew at? Eddyville, Kentucky.
way out in Eddyville.
Yes, sir. Well, before we go, I'm gonna plug the actually before we go, Coy, thank you again so much for being on this episode. Again, it's always an honor and a privilege to
Dude,
whether
I
it's
love these podcasts, man.
I love them too, man, and it's an absolute honor and a privilege to get to have you on here or even talk to you in person or on the phone. So again, thank you so much for being on here. So folks, again,
Anytime.
yes, sir, we'll definitely need to have you on here for a part three, most definitely. Folks, the next Naw wrestling event it is Rage in the Cage, Saturday, July 12th at 7 p.m. at the Nebo Community Center in Nebo, Kentucky. Doors will open at 6 and the show will start at 7 p.m. Ticket prices are free for anybody ages 0 to 5, $5 for anybody ages 6 to 12, and $8 for anybody ages 13 and up. And concessions are available, and it is a family friendly promotion. And again, the GoFundMe account is Help Ben Build a Future for Indie Wrestling Stars. The link is gofund.me/9 B as in boy 2 F as in Frank C as in Charles 903. And folks, any donations would be greatly appreciated. And I know Mr. Daniels would agree with me. We got to keep independent wrestling alive as long as we can, especially around this part of Kentucky. Um, so,
Definitely.
so folks, for Coy Daniels, this is Grizzly Andrew signing off, saying take care and God bless.